Ready to get in on the ground floor of a $22 billion plus industry? The moving industry and two college brothers moving and storage. After 13 years of perfecting their business model, creating 5-star raving reviews on every move, it's time for you to explore an exciting franchise opportunity designed to help you dominate your hometown moving market. Here's the advantages of a two college brothers franchise. Capture the largest territories in the moving franchise industry. Take advantage of extremely competitive franchise fees and royalties. Their proprietary master's degree in moving training program teaches you everything that you need to know about the moving industry. Lifetime one-on-one support. Become a recognized pillar of your local community with their hometown dominator marketing strategy. Get more information and learn about their $1 million guarantee. twocollegebrothers.com. Click on the franchise opportunities link. That's the number 2, twocollegebrothers.com.
Coming up today on The Nice Guys on Business.
For me, it's about starting the creative process, because when you start creating, you start to understand so much more from the feedback you get. And so for you, it's the same, I'm sure, Doug, I'm preaching to the choir here, but when you start the podcast, actually, you've got to think about episode 100. That's you've got to build momentum for all of that stuff, and then you start to become a better interviewer if that's the style of your podcast. You become better at creating soundbite content. All of this stuff happens, but it doesn't happen the first time you step on stage.
You're pretty good at podcasting there, Doug and Strickland, and that's what I appreciates about you. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, so Nice Guy community, this might be a lot to take in. But Matthew Hughes, he's actually the king of video, or maybe video killed the podcast star. I need to know. So in 2013, he started his video company that he ran for about 7 years, creating video and traveling the world. And in 2021, Matt turned his focus to YouTube and has the goal of getting 1,000 small businesses to 1,000 subscribers using YouTube as the primary platform to grow their business and to make money by strategically creating video content. Now, for those of you that know our community and have been listening for years, you know we have this YouTube channel that we do jack shit with. So I figure, what better way to get, number one, free coaching from a guy that's the expert in this space, but secondly, really just take a third grade curiosity approach to what this topic of video, especially with YouTube Shorts coming into fame and fortune. So, Matt, I'm excited to talk to you. Welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thanks so much. Great to be here. And I love the fact that you called out like free coaching from somebody. You know what? Because I did a podcast recently, and it very much felt like this person was just interviewing me all the way through with every question she had about YouTube. So yeah, good point. I like that.
Well, just so you know, chances are very good if you are like the other 900 plus guests that we've had on the show, and I'm not saying that you fit into that category. I think you probably have a unique message, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But if you're like the other 900 guests that have given me advice, I didn't follow any of the fucking advice that they gave me either. So that's why I'm still here.
The great thing about advice.
Right. Yeah. You got to actually follow it. So let's talk about that for a second, because, we all are victim of this algorithm that's out there, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. And the fancy these days have been to these YouTube Shorts, which is perfect timing for you to be a guest on this show. So I'm hoping maybe you can share a little bit just about why is YouTube having to recreate or reinvent or maybe follow along with some of the other leaders like Meta in doing these short videos?
Why are they having to do it? I think it's not necessarily that they have to. I think they just recognize that there's a lot of attention on those short form platforms, and you've got to be in it to win it, right? Like, I think they've seen the rise of TikTok and Reels and all that kind of stuff, and so they think, okay, let's kind of bring our attention to that as well. Traditionally YouTube had all the attention. If you wanted to watch video content, you went to YouTube, and so seeing these platforms come and take all that attention away, I think, is what's made them move to shorts. But and I think actually in some ways YouTube is leading the way. When I was at Vid Summit this time last year, they announced that they were doing a revenue share for short form content, and I think they were the first to do that. Everyone else had like funds, so it was like a pot of money that you could earn. But now they're back to the revenue share, which is what they're kind of known for anyway. So yes, they are following the trend like everybody else, but they are still trying to be innovative and do things a little bit better for creators, because creators is what they know and love.
So when it comes to monetization on any platform like podcasting, for example, or like Instagram, where they had their reels, the funds, the bonus content, I was a part of that with my Mustang podcast for a while, and making a few bucks in the beginning stages of that, which I don't know if they still even have that program any longer. But one of the things that will always attracted people, me included, to YouTube was the fact that they monetize without you having to go out there and sell advertising and sponsorship. They did it through whatever algorithm. Part of the intro that I shared with my community as I brought you in here was for you to get to 1,000 businesses with 1,000 subscribers. Is that a point at which YouTube starts to pay attention to those that are in the video, in the content creation stage, or is that just the number that's out there that you just like to throw?
To be honest with you, I, like most things in life, I do things selfishly. It's nice to be out there and do altruistic work, but actually it's always selfishly when it comes to your own goals, I think. And I wanted to influence 1 million subscribers. So 1,000 businesses, 1,000 subscribers made sense to get to 1 million subscribers and have some influence over that. So that was kind of the arbitrary goal. But actually, I do genuinely believe that until you get 1,000 subscribers, YouTube doesn't promote you as much. It's just a belief. It's not truth. I don't have any facts around that.
All good.
But I feel as though when you get to 1,000 subscribers, it's kind of the first milestone. And it's because most people never get there. Most people that start on YouTube, they just start and they get a few hundred subscribers, realize it's quite a bit of work to get to 1,000 on YouTube and give up. And so if you can get to that first simple milestone, then YouTube kind of goes, okay, yeah, I think this person's serious about this, and we can start pushing them out there a little bit more. That's my belief. And if it's not true, it doesn't matter. It's just a good milestone for people to get to, right?
Well, right. I mean, I remember when I wrote my book, everybody would tell me, hey, look, if you get to 100 reviews, you're going to start to get in an algorithm that's going to advance people seeing it. When you get to 200 listeners on your podcast, if you get to new and noteworthy, there are these things that are metrics that are important. And then there's things that are the metrics that are the ego metrics, the things that probably aren't important, but may keep your confidence level at a high. And, I look at podcasting probably similar to the way that you may look at, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that you may look at YouTube volume. I don't care if I have 10,000 viewers or 1,000 viewers, as long as the 1,000 viewers are the right 1,000 viewers for my content, depending on whether I have a business that's connected to my content or not. If I'm just looking for dollars based upon advertising revenue that YouTube is going to share with me, then I don't really give a fuck who's listening to or watching my show, because it's just about volume. So maybe just share a little bit about who is the ideal person to put out a YouTube video, and how does their business need to be structured so that it makes sense for them to share this content?
Yeah, I will say that I think I focus at the strategic part of when you sort of introduced me and you said about being strategic, that's the part that I talk about with my clients, right? So we don't go after the vanity metrics or ego metrics, as you called them. We focus on, how is this platform going to add value to my business? And so when I work with people, I don't work with vloggers or lifestyle people. I work with people that have products and services to sell. And so what we do is we take the audience that comes into the channel, and then we move them somewhere else, whether that's email list,
Right.
lead magnet, some description. So it's kind of standard marketing, really. And that's how the strategic play is. And so we don't look at the big numbers. So I think it's important to do that. I think the flip side of that whole thing is, and I've been speaking to a lot of content creators that have got huge numbers of views and subscribers, and their view is that we don't care about whether they're ideal or not yet. We care about the big numbers, because then we will find the ones that are good numbers. So there's two arguments and two sides, and it just depends on which one you want to look at. Like for me, if we can add value to the business as a stream, an income stream from the viewers or whatever, and if we can create content that adds value to the business as well from a advertising marketing point of view. So I'll give you an example of that, and what I mean by that is when customers come to me first, the clients that I work with, I say create the first 12, first 20 videos, something like that. Look at the frequently asked questions that you get all the time. So what are the things that all your clients are always asking you? So, and when you create that content, you can then send them to that content. So you're saving time as a business because you're not having to answer the same questions, and you're creating like an asset library of authoritative content that all of that adds value to your business. So none of that, I don't talk about numbers at any point during any of that. I don't mention subscribers. I don't mention views. I tell them specifically say it's not important at this point. We just need to add the content that's going to be good for your business. Okay.
And I appreciate that. And I respect that completely, because we do the same thing. We launch podcasts I have a production company we've had for 9 years, and hundreds of people launch. And oftentimes the question comes around to, I get all that, Doug, I get all that, but how do I get more people to watch my videos, or how do I get more people to listen to my podcast? That's got to be a question that you get asked over and over and over again. And I don't know that there is a clear-cut answer to that. I know that there are a number of things that you could be doing to boost your viewership or your listenership if you're in a podcast. Can you share some of those? And that might be the sound bite that we're going to take and put at the beginning of the show, because I love all my clients. Don't get me wrong here, but I fucking hate the question, because it's not about how many viewers or listeners. It's about what are you doing with them once you get them into your funnel, your list, your call to action, whatever it is. I'd love to hear your spin.
I'd love to tell you this is going to be a soundbite. It probably won't be, but let's talk about it anyway. I think you've got to focus on the creative process, right? So Mr. B says very publicly and open about this. He says the first 200 videos are going to be awful, so you may as well start creating them, right? And I love that messaging. I believe you can do it quicker than the first 200. It doesn't have to be awful. Maybe when he started it, that was the case. But for me, it's about starting the creative process, because when you start creating, you start to understand so much more from the feedback you get. And so for you, it's the same, I'm sure, Doug, I'm preaching to the choir here, but when you start the podcast, actually, you've got to think about episode 100. That's you've got to build momentum for all of that stuff, and then you start to become a better interviewer if that's the style of your podcast. You become better at creating soundbite content. All of this stuff happens, but it doesn't happen the first time you step on stage, right? And if you've done public speaking, you know exactly what I mean. Like my first public speaking gig, I remember standing up and sitting down. I don't remember any of the stuff in the middle because I was so nervous, and all that kind of stuff. It was recorded, unfortunately, so there is documented evidence of it. But it was probably really awful, and that's because I wasn't used to it. It takes practice. It takes starting that creative process. And, imagine what it's like. I always celebrate with people when they say, hey, we're at our 100th episode now. And I'm like, oh my God. So even if you did that once a week, you're 2 years in. Like, wow, that's huge. It's not a small thing to be able to be consistent for that amount of time. So I think unfortunately, the answer to how we get more views is to be consistent, which is old and boring.
No, I love it, man. I love it, because I think it's the important message to get across. At almost 1,500 episodes of our Nice Guys on Business podcast, it took us, I think you're pretty accurate, it took us about 200 before we started to get into our stride, probably another maybe 50 or 100 from there before we started to understand, how do we fucking make money from this? And how do we actually build an audience? And hey, how do we, get to be an influencer or get into that status, at least starting to seek that status? When you tell that to somebody that literally has 29 episodes out there, it's like they fucking don't hear you, and they don't want to hear you because they have an idea of what they came to podcasting for. And they were hoping I'm going to step on my soapbox for a second. I apologize, Matt. It's not going to happen after 10 minutes. Assholes, listen to what we are saying to you. is what I want to say, but I can't say that to them. I want to gently hold them and just say, it's going to be okay. Just stay with me. And I mean it. I love all of my clients. It's the ones that are so impatient to wait that year. You know, I have a client right now that is probably in the 6-month mark, and they are so fucking eager to make money from their show. They just won't get out of their own way. They think it's focused on the show notes. They think it's focused on, you know, the introduction. They think it's focused on the links that they provide. And I'm like, it's not any of those things. You haven't been at it long enough to earn the right to make any money from this. Stop asking me the same question. It's not happening. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Just what are your thoughts?
So well, you know, and this is the thing, you know, like when you stand here and say to me, Matt, we've done 1,500 episodes, I'm like, these guys are fucking serious at this. Like, this is not a joke, right? This is not just happened overnight. You talked about 10 years, and I think about yourself as a human being where you were 10 years ago. Like, it's ridiculous to think about your journey and what progress you've made and stuff. So imagine that as something you stick to. And, you know, in this day and age, you asked the question about shorts and why YouTube went there. Well, it's for those impatient people, you know, it's their fault. It's because they're so impatient. They want to see all these views for this small short form content, when actually the gold is in the long form content over a prolonged period of time.
Yes.
And so if we just focused on that and just stay true to our game, like if we genuinely believe in the product or service that we're creating, and we know we've got a 5-year plan, then let's start the podcast or the YouTube channel from day one, and let's focus on, okay, we're going to do 250 episodes now, 260 episodes, and don't ever fall off of that wagon. You know, if you do, it's fine, get back on it, whatever, but just stay focused to that, and everything else comes. And you don't know when it's going to come, and you can be strategic about it, and you can be clever. And I've had some great results, and I'm sure you've had some as well, that have come out of nowhere, Doug. You know, you might have had a brand deal where someone's just offered them a bunch of money to sponsor a couple of episodes or whatever. And you're like, holy shit, where did that come from? Like, I got mine when I was 700 subscribers in, and I made 40 grand that year. And I'd got 700 subscribers. I've only got 1,500 now. And like, when I tell people that, they're like, oh my God, so you can make money early on. And I'm like, of course you can. But sometimes it's a little bit of right place. Sometimes a bit of relationship building. Like there's a whole load of intricacies. If it was just a straight line of, we're going to create this content, and by episode 15, you're a winner, you know, like we'd be out of business, right?
I love it. I want to get to the nitty gritty because I don't want to lose the opportunity for you to share what you do for your clients, Matt. So why don't you spend just a couple of moments talking about a premium level service that you offer, and what are the deliverables of that service? And then let's see if we can get some people turned onto your list.
Yeah. So there's 2 things that are easy to get onto. The first one is I've got a YouTube community. It's a free community. So that's youtubecommunity.co.uk. It's a little online platform. It's not on Facebook. It's a dedicated member platform, and it's totally free. And the second thing is the program that I have is an 8-week program. It's a boot camp, a group coaching program, and we launch your channel during that time. And it can happen anywhere between sort of 4 and 8 weeks, depending on your urgency, your desire to get things done, you know. And I think for me, I've tried loads of different programs and memberships and all sorts of things, but I'm really convinced that the 8-week version of this, we're in cohort 3 now, is going to be the winner, because I'm talking about people actually doing the work every day, just a little bit at a time, sometimes even just 5 minutes per day, but making that progress by, you know, sort of week 3 and 4.
And what's the best way for somebody to get onto your list or get more information about what you do before I go on to a man?
So just kingofvideo.co.uk. Yeah. So that's how my brand name came. Kingofvideo.co.uk was available, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go with that then.
All right. And we'll make sure we put a link in the show notes for that as well, Matt. Before we wrap up, I want to understand a little bit, because some of our listening audience are people that are in the podcasting space. We have a podcast where you have a podcast production company that obviously is an area that we focus a lot on. What do you think about the cross-platform technique of something like taking a talking head video and using that as your YouTube video, where it's literally just 2 people that are talking on camera, just like you and me, and just saying, hey, this is going to go on both my podcast platform and my YouTube platform. And no matter what your answer is, just know you won't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, in case you didn't know, YouTube has a dedicated space for podcasts now. There's a whole tab that's dedicated to podcasts. When you upload a video, you can define it as a podcast. And so they've really taken that space and said, we appreciate that podcasters are over here on Spotify or wherever doing their thing. Why not bring it over to YouTube as well? And it was actually my daughter's 16. She converted me on this, because I said to her, and we're launching our podcast in a couple of weeks. And I said to Poppy, how do you watch podcasts? I know you watch them. What's the deal? How do you listen to them? Sorry. And she said, oh, I listen to them on Spotify. And then what I do is when I get back to my bedroom, because she listens to them, she's getting ready in the morning. She says, I then open them up and watch them. And I was like, hold on, what? You watch them? And she said, yeah, when I go on Spotify, the video's there and I click the 2 little arrows and she watches them. And I was like, oh my God, podcasts are videos too. And that's where I understood the crossover. And once I got that in my head, I was like, wow, podcasters, they're my team, my clients, like these are the people I should go after, because if you're just creating a podcast and putting it on the audio platforms, you are missing a huge opportunity right now.
Well, I think there's an opportunity probably after I hit stop on the record button, after we conclude this, for you and I to have an understanding of how your services could benefit, the clients that we have that launch every day. So if you're open to that conversation, I would love to have that with you off camera or off record. So, hey, Matt, I so appreciate it. And for those in our community that are interested in hearing more, there will be a marketing email that will come out just telling you a little bit more about this. Just stay tuned for that as it comes out after the podcast episode comes out. Matt, thank you for sharing your expertise and your motivation and your pleasant personality when it comes to this as well. Because I know sometimes this gets to be, especially with me, it gets to be a rather frustrating experience just to get people to get the word out.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks so much. And I appreciate your audience and everything, and you listening to us, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Matt. Hey, for all the those in our listening community that want to get more information about Matt and his programs, just check out the link in the show notes. It'll be right there. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute or two, 10 tops.